Welcome to City Skylines Mass Transit and the city of Rock Valley, which in the last part passed 80,000 and it's still piling on the population pretty quickly. And I'm just letting the city run at the moment because in this part we're going to be talking about monuments. Now this is an option that's unlocked when you reach Megalopolis, which is the last of the milestones. If you are playing the game, you just get your final tile unlocked, you get monuments, and you get access to the international airport, and that's basically it. Once you've got that, that's all unlocked. Now monuments are a special category of, there's only 6 of them, and you can only build them once you've got certain unique buildings put in your city. Now any of you guys new to the game, these unique buildings, I've got them all unlocked because obviously I've played the game. Well, I've played the game ever since it came out. And what you have to do is that each one of these buildings has a condition. I can't remember what the conditions are. It's a long time since I did the unlock. And once you've fulfilled it, that unique building is unlocked for good. And now there is a way that you can reset them and redo them all over again if you really want to. If you want to see the process of unlocking those within the game, I did do a series, I think it's called Waterside, where I built a city of 200,000 and I actually unlocked all the different unique buildings whilst building the city. But you don't have to do that, guys. You can just build a city, unlock them, and to be honest, some of them are a bit difficult to do within one city. I think one of them is, I can't remember what it is, but one of them is you've got to have like a terrible unemployment rate or a terrible fire risk. So they're not all positive ones. Some of them require some quite odd ones. And also there's also another one that's actually, right, if I go to here, this Doomsday Vault was actually introduced as part of the Disasters, the DLC that came out earlier in the year, and that was in 2017 if you're watching this in the future. Now the sting in the tail with these unique buildings is that if I can find it, I can remember actually unlocking these a bit. So helicopter park, that's unlocked after you've built, I think, your first helicopter depot. And I can't remember the Sphinx. That's it there. The Sphinx there, you've got to win any 3 scenarios. So that's quite tough. And I think there's another one in here. That's actually a DLC. I'm just trying to find it. Yeah, Meteorite Park, you get that unlocked when you have your first meteorite strike. Trying to find luxury hotel, driving range, and again we've got a whole raft of them here. This temple complex comes with a DLC. And traffic park here, and of course you've got the boat museum here, which I think is tied to mass transit. Let's put that down. Actually, I've actually never noticed that before. Can we put the boat museum down? Let's have a quick look at this. Actually, wow, that's cool. Boat museum, the landmark citizens and tourists will come. Wow, it's got a little stern wheeler paddle boat. Well, I can't remember what they're called actually. The twin ramps and that is, correct me guys if you're from America, I'm sure that they used to work up and down the Missouri and the Mississippi. That's it, Mississippi riverboats, weren't they? I can't remember now, sorry guys, apologies if I got it wrong. And of course Locomotive Hall, so come and see the Locomotive Halls, is open for tourists. So construct 7 instances of multi-platform station. So there we are. There's a new one I haven't got unlocked, and that gives you an example, guys. So if mass transit had introduced a unique monument, that could be a precondition for. Yeah, I think maybe we'll work on that, guys. Multi-platform train stations. That could be a challenge in this part. Maybe I'll save that for my next Let's Play when I build a city. I've got that in my mind. I'm not going to talk too much about that because I'm going to get distracted. And we'll have another 1 hour part. Anyway guys, back to the focus of this part now. You've got these 6 buildings and you've got the space elevator, it says here, creates a mass influx of tourists who also like to spend money while visiting. You've got the fusion power plant, which I think is one of the most useful of the monuments, because basically build that and you've solved your power consumption. If you look there, it creates 16,000 megawatts, and when you compare that to, I think, power station here, that produces 640 even, and that's a nuclear power plant. So get that built and you've got any more problems with power within your city. That's ideal if you're building a massive city, although that comes with a word of warning, guys. If you're playing disasters, you're effectively putting all your eggs in one basket. If when I did the tornado scenario, my disasters, I built one of these, and what actually happened is I had a very close near miss with a tornado. If that had been, the tornado had destroyed that fusion power reactor, I would have been in deep trouble. Now, the Eden project's my first choice for building in any city, because you can see here it increases the city profile, removes pollution from the land, and it also substantially increases land values. And if I kind of show you here, guys, at the moment my land values, they're not too bad, but there's a few places around there that could benefit from having that, especially here. So we're going to be working on the Eden project in a minute. And the remaining two, medical center and the hadron collector. The medical center makes everybody healthy, and the hadron collider actually basically gives everybody high level education. Now, there's a certain risks involved in having these if you are still building your city up. Say you want to build to, say, 200,000 people. Placing these down can actually cause stagnation in your city, because what happens is you have uniform healthcare, uniform education right across the city, and basically everything seems to come to a little bit of a standstill and your city stops growing, and then that actually starts to cause you problems. And talking of problems, I've got a few little bits of education, and I think what I can do just to keep that moving forward is to, sorry for the digression, guys, but there's always something to do when you play City Skylines and you're building cities. I think maybe we can just drop a little bit of power. I really need to move those there, and we've got a little bit, so I think maybe we can drop a few offices on that end there, get a little bit going that way. I don't really want offices along, I suppose I could drop a few offices along here and just maybe leave the junctions open just in case I want to expand, and that might actually pull a few people. Oh, that's the garbage. It's got quite close. Maybe I need to get rid of the pollution, and of course we got a little bit of, I think maybe we can zoom in a little bit of heavy commercial in this area. Right, guys, anyway, apologies for that slight digression. You can see the city's still growing. We're up to 86,000. So what we're going to do, guys, is I'm going to do the Eden project first, and you can see the way you actually unlock this is by building this. So the first thing we need is a business park, and sometimes it can be a little bit frustrating to get through these to find the ones that you're actually looking for. And I think the business park was, I actually had it out, it's business park. Oh bugger. Maybe we can just come out this way a bit like that, and we can drop the business park like that just behind there. That will give a bit of a boost to this area. You can see it looks a bit, is it the St. Louis Arch? And so we now built that, and if we come back, we've now got to build the Cathedral of Plenitude. Now this is a quick tip, guys. If you're going to start building these buildings, make sure you've got a strong economy and that you've got plenty of cash. These buildings are not cheap. You can see here 130,000, and they're also quite difficult to place simply because they've got very, very large footprints. I think maybe, actually, what's this? This attracts, noise is not that high. Okay, maybe we can drop that somewhere where it will have a maybe on this corner. I mean, it is a cathedral, so it should really be near a residential area. think that looks okay. I mean, some of these buildings are very, very detailed. I must admit, I do like them. Yeah, so anyway, back to business. I don't want to get too distracted. And the next one is a friendly neighbourhood park. And I think parks are down here. And we got the football, statue of wealth, statue of shopping, friendly neighbourhood park. What's the noise on this one? 25. Well, I think we can drop that. I mean, to be honest, you want to put the parks in areas like this. Maybe we can drop it just in here. And that's just like a specialist park. It's got a kind of a bandstand in it with a kind of open air eating area. You can use the distinct parks in residential areas. And of course they all attract tourists. So again, if I come back to here, you can see here it's got visitor capacity 150. And again, we're going to come here, Eden Project. We've got to construct an official park now. I don't know what the official park is. Official park, that's got, again, that's got a quite a low noise value. Maybe we can drop that in here, and that will boost the area up here. Again, we're just going to have a quick look at it. I think this one's got a bit of an abstract sculpture in the middle, and of course it's because it's in an industrial area, it's got the pollution, but we're going to fix that soon anyway, guys. I'm losing a bit of cash, but that could be because we're going through a night cycle or something like that. Keep an eye on that. Yes, it's back again. Yeah, what actually happens is that if you were playing the After Dark, and I think it also affects you when you're not playing it, is that office blocks and I think it's some commercial areas, industrial areas, your income drops during the hypothetical night. Now, it's not a day-night cycle related to this. You need to ignore this date here, guys. It's a long cycle. Maybe next part I'll turn on the day-night cycle so we can actually have a look at that. Maybe that would be the theme of the next part, but again, I need to focus. I get so distracted when I play this game. Servicing services offices. That's a bit of a mouthful. And is Colossal Order's office. We'll put that down as well because I quite like that. High interest tower. Services servicing offices. What's this? Noise pollution 25. This requires all sorts of services. Headquarters requirement for there. So it's got visitor capacity. Maybe we can drop that in over here somewhere. Kind of spread them around a little bit. Wow, that's big. That's way too big. Let's get this. Maybe we can get that just on this edge here. Just keep the high-rise theme going in this area. Maybe we can just drop a... Actually, let's take a road out. Get a road through there. Yeah, look at that. And we can drop some... Actually, put some high-density offices just in like that on each side. And maybe a little bit of low density on this side like that. Back now. What else do we need here? We need a statue of industry. Well, I think I can recognise that one. It's famous last words. Let's have a look. I recognise it as there it is. There, it's the guy with the hammer, and of course the industry is over here. So let's get that. Put this over here. This is quite a big park. It's got quite an imposing statue on it, and it's going to attract a few tourists. And we've unlocked the Eden Project, and you can see here this has got no noise pollution and all that. So what you can do is drop now. I'm just going to show you before we do it, guys. Here's the current land values. You can see the green is high and the blue is low. Okay, so what we're going to do, I think we're going to put it in the Eden Project in over here. We can find somewhere to put it. Let's just put it right next to the garbage. And we just need to check, make sure we haven't broken those power lines. Right, and we'll just let it go. You can see the immediate effect on right across the city. See it? And this is what makes putting the Eden project down. If you were growing the city, what you will find is that you put this down, you get all your residential areas and that start to upgrade as the land value upgrades. You can see here now, look, the whole city has gone green. And what that will actually have the effect of is creating lots and lots of demand as all these buildings start to upgrade. And it can give you problems, guys, when you do it. So you may think, oh yes, I'll get a surge, the city will grow, which it will do, you can see here. But it can destabilize your city. I mean, to me, I'm quite relaxed about this at the moment because I'm fairly confident that I can manage any problems should they actually crop up. Famous last words. But it can give you a bit of a big headache, especially if you're not familiar with the game, guys. And you can get, it's what some people refer to as like a stagnation well. Your city is growing, but it's not growing, as if that makes sense, guys. Like you've got massive demand here, and it may work with the commercial. So if we put commercial out here, but it may not work with the residential. So say for example, I zone this area here. So you've got the city growing, but what happens is very few. Oh, there's people moving in just to prove me wrong. But what can happen is that you can zone in an area there, and your city's growing, but you zone in an area and nothing happens. And that's because what's actually happening is that people are all moving into these areas. It puts a strain on your other services. So let's just kind of just connect that through like that. I think we can. So placing these monuments can have risks, guys. So that's the Eden project, and that's the immediate effect on it. But it can give it. But the nice thing about the Eden project is that you can deploy that once you've got to 200,000, and that keeps your city growing and stable. You can see here that the city's really rushing forward, and I'm not zoning up. I mean, you can saw the tiny amount of zoning I did here, and the demand hasn't gone right off the top of the chart, and that's simply because all these buildings here now are all maxing out. Well, nearly maxed out anyway. Maybe this area is still a working case. So that's that one done, and what we're going to do now is go for the Hadron, the fusion power plant. And to do that we need an observatory, which I know is up this end somewhere. There we are. Now, oops, I've got a water problem here. Let's just get, why is that not? Let's connect that through. And that's that done. And if I had a mountain or somewhere like that, I would put the observatory up on the mountain, but we don't. So I think what we're going to do is just put this somewhere away from the light pollution. Just make it look real. Actually, we've got a few little bits of hills up here, haven't we? Okay, let's. It's not going to go up here, is it? And maybe we can just drop the observatory. Of course, it's not going to go how we can get it there. Not strictly speaking on the edge, but of course it's going to need water and power. So we'll just connect that like that, and we've got our observatory up here. Now bear in mind the observatory does attract tourists, so you may put it in a remote location, but that means it will still generate a little bit of traffic, not a vast amount of traffic, but it will generate a little bit of traffic here. We've got a few problems with the railway lines here. I don't really like that. That's going to become a bit of an issue. That's because we've only got the one railway line, and I'm draining lots and lots of tracks into here. I think what I am going to do is try and fix that. Sorry for the distraction, guys, but I do want to. What I will do is strike off here, and maybe we'll come like that. And what that might do is pull the train into there. For some reason, I've got a little bit of a function here as well. Alright, back on mission, guys. And we've now got to construct the Fountain of Life and Death, which is up here. Just going to find it. It's the Statue of Wealth, Statue of Shopping. It's the Fountain of Life and Death. Let's just have a quick look at the... Yeah, it's got a low noise value, so maybe we can just drop that on the end here. That will give a little bit of a boost to this area. And you can see this has got a kind of a spiral. I think it's meant to be some kind of fountain in the centre, but I don't think it's animated. And of course we've got a football match here. Don't know when our next football match is going to be. Next match, the 23rd of the 8th, 2037. Oh, it's a bit of a long way away, guys. So we've still got trains kind of all tied up everywhere here, which is a bit unfortunate. Yeah, I think this is going to need a little bit of work. I think I've been a bit over enthusiastic with the trains. And it's all feeding into this one area. What we may need is a second station here. And separate these lines out a bit. I think the problem is they're all working on this area here. And I think they're trying to get through to there. So maybe if I put a link to there, that might take some of the pressure off of this junction. Anyway, again, I'm getting distracted, guys. Apologies. And now we need a science centre, and the science centre is a very, very big building. It's up here. Can't remember now. There is the science centre, so we're going to put this over this side of the city. You can see it's a pretty big building. I say most of these like centres, shopping malls, things like that, I've all done it here. Now again, this is a consequence of me creating the surge. You can see here. We've got, so again it's fixing itself, but there's not enough educated workers because I created that massive influx. Look at that, see we've gone up 3,000 people, but you'll probably find that the education has dropped down only 20%, 19% uneducated. That's because we created a massive surge of people coming into the city, and that will also in the long term, we may not see it in this part, there'll be what's properly known as a death wave. Death waves are when you've brought a lot of people in from the outside, they all die at roughly the same time. Then that puts a lot of pressure on your kind of crematorium services. Just have a quick check, just to make sure we've got good coverage, because we might need it. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. And we've now got the fusion power reactor. And again, let's just show you guys power. It says here, we're using 1500 megawatts. We're producing that, we're consuming, so we're over consuming, guys. Now watch this. Where should I put it? Let's put it over here. And it's not a very big building. Once this comes on stream, there we are, 10,000 production. Oops, it's not, okay, it doesn't have any water. Okay, we need to put some water on it. That will bring the power back on. If we just watch, there we are, guys, 19,000 megawatts there. So what I could effectively do is basically start deleting these, or the other option is just to switch them off. In fact, what I will probably do is delete a few of these, but because we don't need them now. Be careful when you delete things that you don't break the power connections. But you can see here, guys, once you've got that hadron, the fusion power plant going, you've cracked it, guys. There's, you've got unlimited power, cheap. And let's just have a look at more of the power construction. I think did I build here? And of course, what you can do is I literally go out here now, and we can destroy all these. Don't need them anymore. And as I say, if you're building a massive city, guys, that is the one building that you do really want to unlock. It's the one, I would say, that is the most useful of all the monuments that you can build. And that and the Eden Project, although the Eden Project is not quite as effective. So that, and of course the other advantage is now I've got rid of all these wind turbines, it actually makes the city look a little bit better. And we're still, despite deleting all that, you can still see here we got massive amounts of power. So we could keep just taking out these extra buildings. Yeah, let's take this out as well. Problem now is I might have disconnected that radio station, so we're going to have to just connect that back in again. Make sure it's working, because of course we want total power running through the city. And as I say, just to reiterate, guys, if you're playing with the disasters, natural disasters on, that makes your city environment very, very vulnerable to a strike. So you need to be aware of that, guys, that a meteorite strike or a tornado hitting this building will completely paralyze your city and destroy it. And we've got a bit of a trash problem here. Right, I think that's because this probably needs some more trash. Again, this is another example of what I was trying to get at by building the Eden Project, guys. You create this massive surge and then it puts all your services under a little bit of strain, because the sudden surge of growth within the city affects everything. Yeah, so, and I think just for fun, guys, I'm going to build the Doomsday Vault, because there's quite really interesting buildings here. I'm not too worried about the space elevator. Well, maybe we can build the space elevator. Let's just rattle through the space elevator. What do we need for this? We need the Expo Center, and I think that, look at that, straight on the button here, guys. Maybe we can get the Expo Center over here, make this into a very, very powerful tourist area. You can see how big the buildings are. Very cool, guys, but they're very, very big, and putting them on curved roads like this does have a kind of negative effect. Right, so let's see what else we can get in. We need an opera house. That's the aquarium. That's the Theatre of Wonders. That's the stadium. It's in here somewhere. It can be a little bit frustrating. The opera house isn't quite such a big building. You can probably get that in there. Again, it actually looks more like a football stadium than an opera house, actually, doesn't it, guys? I'm trying to think of there's a football stadium, which actually looks a bit like that with the opening roof across the top. Okay, I shouldn't get distracted. I know nothing about football, so we got to construct a stadium. I've got a stadium. I've already got a stadium. Why is that actually? Oh no, this isn't the football stadium. This is the stadium that's part of the Grand Library, Opera House. So where's the stadium then? That's the aquarium. Okay, let's go through these guys. Got a casino. Don't think that's actually tied to any monuments or buildings. Posh Mall. That's Colossal Order. That's Grand Library. Opera House. Observatory. Oppression Office. That's the Pyramid of Safety. Ah, here's the stadium, guys. And I mean, this is the contradiction, guys. Let me just put this here. That's the stadium, that's the opera house. Again, this has got an opening roof. I think this is... You can just see the pitch inside. It's a soccer pitch, guys, for you who live in America. I would say in the UK we'd say it's a football stadium, but of course and I'm very much aware in America football has a different connotation than it does here in the UK, and we've still got a little bit of demand, so let's just whack here. Yeah, we call our stadiums football stadiums. You in the US you'd call them soccer stadiums. Anyway, so we got a football stadium. I still think that actually looks more like a football stadium than that, but that's just my opinion, and I'm not the world's greatest sport aficionado. I must admit, I was firmly on the geek side of the fence when it came to education. I came to agreement very early on that I would not bother sport and sport would not bother me. I was probably one of the world's worst sportsmen. So anyway, that's a minor confession, guys. So we've got that now. We just place the Statue of Wealth down here. This has kind of got like a almost like Greek type statue here with a shield behind. And we've now unlocked the space elevator, and this is quite a cool building actually. I quite like this building, and I think what we can do is put this over here, and I do like that. And I think when the animations comes on with the radars and all that, I think it looks really, really cool. I like that. And it does kind of crowd out. I mean, to be honest, to really get the real benefit and the real visual effect of these monuments, you do need a very large city. If you've got a small city and you start to place them, they do look a bit out of place. And so that's those three unlocked. Medical centre, high interest. I think just for the fun of it, guys, we'll put in a Colossal Orders office building. Find it, it's in here somewhere. Come here, Colossal Order. And maybe we'll kind of put them, we put this downtown. Yeah. Again, it's got a very, very big footprint, and it's, maybe we can just slip it in up here somewhere. Looks like that, maybe just there. Of course, it's got the CO. I think that's the right way around, isn't it? Colossal Order. And you can see here the population is dropping again. This will happen when you've kind of caused a massive surge in the city. I'm just having a look round to see what the death wave's like. Let's have a quick look. Health. So we go average 76% out death care. Well, the death care is okay. Sometimes when you get big dips like that, what you're actually looking at is a potential death wave of people aging and dying. So this is where you've got to be a bit careful when you've got a very large city, guys, that an indicator going negative, that may not necessarily mean people are leaving your city. It just means lots of more people are dying than actually being born or entering your city. So you will get these quite wide fluctuations, and the key is not to overreact to them, is just to ride them out. And as long as you don't get a death wave, which is what I'm checking for at the moment, because you can see those by lots of kind of skull and crossbone type motif, as long as you've got enough crematorium services to deal with the death wave, guys, so that all your people are being picked up, you'll be okay. You don't need to worry too much about it. I think maybe we can drop a little bit of a stones there. We can just bring a little bit of a road going here. Okay, we'll just leave that. Maybe we'll just come like that and just make sure the power's connected up. And we went to the trouble of building a very expensive power station. Don't know why I built that, but never mind. There's the Westers zone in. Some more residential here. There, maybe we'll put a little bit of offices along this front edge here, just to suck up that demand a little bit. And maybe we'll just put a little bit, just get the paintbrush and paint in some bit more commercial there. Be a tiny little bit of commercial there, like that. We've also got building is flooding. Okay, do I have a pumping station here? Here's the pumping station. They should be able to deal with that. Again, guys, if you're building segmented urban areas like this, remember that this pumping station will only service this area. And I think they're all pretty quick on the job. There, there's the old pump truck coming in, and you can see them picking up water. They only pick up so much water, and then they actually go. Anyway, I think I'm just coming over the half an hour. I think what I'm going to do is monuments, which is the one I did, high interest tower. I think we're going to do this, guys, and then that'll be it. So we got to construct a disaster memorial, and disaster memorial is the one. I say these are the ones that you've got to be a little bit careful with. Meteorite Park, statue of shopping. This is the disaster memorial. To remember a past disaster. I think this unlocks when you survive your first disaster in the city. Maybe we can just put that just up out here. Got a bit of a water problem here. We can connect across like that. Yeah, this is when you actually survive your first disaster. That's what you actually get. That unlocks. And the next one is the helicopter park. And I've got that because I built, again, this one. You get this from, so that's only got 10. That's quite a good, nice low level. It's not very big actually as well. That would be quite neat to drop that in there. This is quite a neat, distinct building, guys. It's got like a bird carrying a helicopter blade, which I think is quite cool actually, guys. So that's the helicopter one. Now I will skip ones, and because I've put down the, and what we need now is the pyramid of safety. Now I think this one says here you've got to win 3 scenarios. So it's like I was saying, guys, if you actually put this out, reset all your scenarios, you'd have to redo the scenarios, which would be a real pain in the neck, to be honest, if to do that. Maybe we can get, maybe can we get this over here? Yeah, let's just drop that in there. And this has got a very distinct Egyptian look with a kind of happy smiley face on it. I know I've disrupted my industry, but I think it's worth it. Maybe I can compensate by putting a little bit of industry down this area here. I can put a little bit of industry along here. Keep away from the road edges so that we don't get trucks turning. Cancel that and that. Maybe we can just get a little bit long like that and a little bit like that, just to kind of round that bit off. Okay guys, what else do we need? And we need to construct the pyramid of safety, and just got to find it. There we are. Again, I think the disasters do have a distinct kind of Egyptian way. This one's got to make a bit more noise, so maybe we will put this in over here somewhere. It's next to the airport, so I think it can live there. And I think I've just broken the power lines again, but I don't need the power lines there over here, so these can come out and just make the city look a bit more. Again, it actually has an Egyptian feel, but it's also a bit reminiscent of that kind of pyramid building in front of the Louvre in France, in Paris, which you either love or you hate. To me, I don't like it because I like my kind of old important buildings to not have that type of look to it, but that's very much a personal opinion. Feel free to. Now, I did skip the park there. I can't remember where this park is actually. Oh, we've got a fire here going. Now again, these are trees, so what should happen is that our fire services can fight the buildings, but these trees need the helicopters. Now, as the helicopters coming in to fight the forest fire here. So these guys will put out the buildings, but see, they're not fighting the fires here. We've also got a bit of an issue with this roundabout. I really need to upgrade it. I should. Yeah, there's the. I can hear a helicopter. Is it coming in? Yep. It sneaked in when I wasn't looking. Do I really need to upgrade this? Yeah, I think I can. So we're just going to highway. I think we'll just upgrade this. Get the traffic flowing. I must try the mod that actually restricts parking, because this is what annoys me. It's the fact that you get people parking on the access slip roads. Maybe we can just pull this back a little bit. Now the advantage of upgrading like that, guys, is that when the trucks move round, they calculate the route they're going to take based on distance and speed. So by creating a fast road, you will draw traffic in that may be tempted to do a slightly shorter route, but they will actually take the faster route through here. In fact, what I probably could do is just, I've got an issue there, so maybe we can just upgrade through here like that. Maybe we can't upgrade that. What that will do is have the effect of drawing more traffic onto here. This area needs to be sorted out. These junctions here are now starting to reach their maximum capacity, and that's what's actually starting to cause this tailback here, guys. And of course we've got a little bit of a upgrade here, which is now pulling into this area here. I mean, I'd be tempted, because a lot of the traffic here is actually turning left. Anyway, I'm getting distracted again, guys. And this is the Doomsday Vault. Now, it's very important that you realise when you've unlocked, to unlock this, you've got to have, I think, completed all the main, I think, you've got to have completed all the scenarios here. Now, this Doomsday Vault does not actually take people, so you don't need to put it somewhere where people are. In fact, I'll just put it over here, out of the way. I mean, I don't know if it doesn't actually attract people. So there's a huge underground vault that helps shelters to have more capacity and bigger stockpiles. So it's like an overall upgrade, but it isn't actually a vault, which adds to your disaster recovery. It just increases the capacity of your existing vaults. So if we can find an existing vault. Well, we don't actually have any vaults over here. Maybe we should put a couple of a vault in over here. And you can see, I think it goes to 13,000. I think the original vaults are 10,000. So by building that, yeah, they're all upgraded to 13,000. And I think the water, I think you can see now they're actually expanding for the new thing. I think the default is 10,000. By building that monument, you get it up to 13,000. And you can see the power, water and food has been kind of increased. Now bear in mind that it will take a little while for for the food to build up. Food is always the issue with these vaults, simply because the food has to be delivered, and if the vault does not have food, water or power, it does not function. And I think that's about it, guys. I've gone over time again, and well, maybe in the next part I will go through this. I mean, the routine for these are exactly the same as what I've already done. I mean, to be honest, I never rush to build these. These are ones I would put in at the end of getting the city up to size and want. So if I wanted to keep growing this city, I mean, I'm probably not going to grow it much bigger than what it is now. Maybe I'll aim for 100,000, and then that would be the end of the series. But say I was going to try and get this city to 200,000, I would be very slow to build these because they can give you black spots in city growth. Because at the moment, I mean, the education, if I kind of show you the education, I'm getting distracted, is already very good in the city. So why would I need to build that? This one. It's a kind of false economy, and it can actually give you problems because, like, for example, say that I wanted to expand into a new area and I wanted to put out an area and I wanted it to grow, say like to keep this area growing out like it is now. So let's just kind of, maybe we'll just come across like this, bring this out, and I think we'll just come out pretty extravagantly, and we'll just connect through there, connect through like that. If I had the monuments built, this area would just start to expand automatically, which in some ways is a good thing, but at the same time it just, I don't know, it just causes a flat spot. I don't know if it's the game mechanics or what, but it can give you problems, guys, so I don't rush for that. And to be honest, the health one is, again, if you kind of look at the health, and if I zoom out, guys, I've got good health all across the city. In fact, my health care is probably above average, and health is quite an easy one to manage using these buildings. So if you've got a bit of a flat spot, you can just keep dropping this in. So these two monuments are really icing on the cake and don't really help your city. I've built the main one. Just to recap, guys, Eden project, really fantastic if you want to give your city a boost, but be aware that if you've got a pretty large city, it will result in some problems like a death wave, and it will kind of destabilize your growth, and it will bring your health and fire and other services under pressure. So before you build the Eden project, make sure that you've got all your health, medical care, your traffic under control. Just have a quick look, because a sudden surge of people coming into the city will give you quite substantial traffic problems. I mean, I think really what I need here, what I actually do need here is no, I'm going to stop, guys, because I'm gonna just to tell you what I was thinking, guys. I think this needs to be a one-way road in, one-way road out, and this taken out. So this needs to be, I'll do it, guys, I'll do it. Okay, pause the game. Just trying to think how the best way to do this, and we'll deconstruct that, and I think we can just kind of come out like this, take off the snapping. I mean, it's going to upset the flow of the traffic, but there's not much I can do about it. And right, so that's now coming in this way, and what you will see is everyone will turn round and come this way. What I probably need to do is pick this up and move that out of the way. And you can see here there will be a bit of a cross flow here with these vehicles, but you can see now we've now got a nice flow running around here, because most of these trucks are delivering, so they're kind of coming in here, round here and out there, and there's a little bit of extra traffic coming through here, and I think maybe we can, but I think this is handling it quite well, so I don't think we actually need a game. We've got the ubiquitous parking on there. If anyone from Colossal Order happens to stroll across this video, maybe in the next update, guys, could you enhance your traffic management system to put in parking management? And again, there's a little bit of a surge here, but I think maybe what we could do also is just put in it back there, upgrade this as well. So we've now got a completely one-way system running here. So the traffic coming in and out of here is flowing up there and merging with this one here. And I mean, if it gets too bad, I can always spur off here, because virtually 90% of all the traffic that's delivering here is actually leaving. So you can see there's virtually nobody coming up here because the little bit of traffic that's coming up through here is actually coming out this area here. In fact, what I would probably do is, that's actually going to... Anyway, guys, I've got distracted. Apologies, I do it time and time again. But this is where I'm going to leave it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found it interesting. You can see here, I think I've destabilized the delivery because they're doubling up here a bit, but I think they will sort themselves out. They're actually fighting over how to get into the there, and of course I've got the problem over here to do with the trains. I can't remember where it is now. It's over here, isn't it? My train lines are completely clogged up. I think I need to sort this out. So, but that's something to look at in the next part or a future part. And this is where I'm going to leave it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Hope you found it interesting, the monuments. If you've got any of your own experiences related to placing monuments and unique buildings, feel free to add a comment, because I'm not claiming to be an expert. What I've talked about in this video is my personal experience and what I've found with placing the buildings, and I'd be very interested if any of you guys have got your own insights and opinions on placing these buildings, because they can have a big impact on your city if you just whack them down without thinking about it. And they have a positive, but they can also have a negative. And before I start repeating myself, guys, this is where I'm going to leave it. Hope you enjoyed the video, hope you found it interesting, and until next time, whatever you do, enjoy your gaming.